Lesson 46. Do it yourself. We'll talk about how the writer tried to be a handyman in this text. Now first, listen to the text and answer this question. Did the writer repair his lawn mower in the end? Why or why not? 作者最后修了割草机没有？为什么？或者为什么没有？
So great is our passion for doing things for ourselves that we are becoming increasingly less dependent on specialized labor. No one can plead ignorance of a subject any longer, for there are countless do-it-yourself publications. Armed with the right tools and materials, newlyweds gaily embark on the task of decorating their own homes. Men, particularly, spend hours of their leisure time installing their own fireplaces, laying out their own gardens, building garages, and making furniture. Some really keen enthusiasts go so far as to build their own computers. Shops cater for the do-it-yourself craze not only by running special advisory services for novices, but by offering consumers bits and pieces which they can assemble at home. Such things provide an excellent outlet for pent-up creative energy, but unfortunately, not all of us are born handymen. Some wives tend to believe that their husbands are infinitely resourceful and can fix anything. Even men who can hardly drive a nail in straight are supposed to be born electricians, carpenters, plumbers, and mechanics. When lights fuse, furniture gets rickety, pipes get clogged, or vacuum cleaners fail to operate, some women assume that their husbands will somehow put things right. The worst thing about the do-it-yourself game is that sometimes even men live under the delusion that they can do anything, even when they have repeatedly been proved wrong. It is a question of pride as much as anything else. Last spring, my wife suggested that I call in a man to look at our lawnmower. It had broken down the previous summer, and though I promised to repair it, I had never got round to it. I would not hear of the suggestion and said that I would fix it myself. One Saturday afternoon, I hauled the machine into the garden and had a close look at it. As far as I could see, it needed only a minor adjustment. A turn of a screw here, a little tightening up there, a drop of oil, and it would be as good as new. Inevitably, the repair job was not quite so simple. The mower firmly refused to mow, so I decided to dismantle it. The garden was soon littered with chunks of metal which had once made up a lawnmower. But I was extremely pleased with myself. I had traced the cause of the trouble. One of the links in the chain that drives the wheels had snapped. After buying a new chain, I was faced with the unsurmountable task of putting the confusing jigsaw puzzle together again. I was not surprised to find that the machine still refused to work after I had reassembled it, for the simple reason that I was left with several curiously shaped bits of metal which did not seem to fit anywhere. I gave up in despair. The weeks passed, and the grass grew. When my wife nagged me to do something about it, I told her that either I would have to buy a new mower or let the grass grow. Needless to say, our house is now surrounded by a jungle. Buried somewhere in deep grass, there is a rusting lawnmower which I have promised to repair one day.
So did the author repair the lawnmower in the end? Why or why not? Well, he did repair the lawnmower by himself, but it still didn't work. Notice it was the author himself who refused to call in a repairman, but insisted that he would do it by himself. The repair job, instead, was much more difficult than he had thought. What's worse, once he started with the repair, he could never put it back together. So it shows, as he tells us in the first 2 paragraphs, though do-it-yourself is popular and sometimes is made possible by commercial support, it is more often something we cannot do. We, or men especially, insist on doing things by ourselves, for pride more than anything else. Right, now we'll look at some language points in this text. So great is our passion for doing things for ourselves that we are becoming increasingly less dependent on specialized labor. 这里 so that 句型中的 so great 放在句首，所以句子倒装。它的正常语序应当是 Our passion for doing things for ourselves is so great that we are becoming increasingly less dependent. Increasingly less dependent 其实就是说 we are becoming more and more independent of specialized labor. I'll give you one more example of dependent. The children are totally dependent on their parents for food and shelter. 孩子们对父母完全在吃和住上依赖。Specialized labor. Specialized means professional, 专门人员。No one can plead ignorance of a subject any longer. Plead here means to give an excuse for ignorance. Look at this example. He was on his knees, pleading for forgiveness. 这里使用的是 plead 的本意，意思是 begging for forgiveness. She left early, pleading a headache. Here it means the same as the text. Giving an excuse of having a headache. 借口头疼。There are countless do-it-yourself publications. Countless, the synonym is innumerable. Newlyweds gaily embark on the task. Newlyweds refer to those who are newly wed. 所以这个词是由 newly 副词加上过去分词 wed 共同构成的一个名词。英文中这样的词有很多。For example, the well-educated refer to those people who are well-educated. Newborns refer to the newly born babies. Gaily embark means merrily. It refers to highly spirited happiness. Embark on or embark upon means to start something. For example, we are embarking on or upon a new project this year. Some really keen enthusiasts. Keen means really interested. For example, a keen reader, somebody who loves reading very much. Go so far as to build their own computers. Go so far as to means to go to such an extreme that. For example, she went so far as to threaten to kill herself. Shops cater for the do-it-yourself craze. Cater for means to provide what is needed. For example, this travel agency caters especially for the elderly. 这家旅行社特别为老年人服务。The do-it-yourself craze refers to the enthusiasm. Running special advisory services. Here run means operate. You can also run a machine, for example, run a car or a computer or a machine. 运行 or the organization or the business or government is running smoothly. 组织或者生意或者政府顺利地在运行。Bits and pieces which they can assemble at home. Bits and pieces is a spoken or informal way of saying different small things. Such things provide an excellent outlet for pent-up creative energy. Outlet refers to the emotional outlet, 一种发泄或者排解。For example, I play tennis as an outlet for stress. 为了解除压力，我打网球。Pent up means suppressed, 受到了抑制的、压抑的。Pent up excitement or pent up grief. Or in this example, screaming at the top of your voice is a good way of releasing pent up frustration. 消除一种受压抑的挫败感，最好的方式就是大声的、最高声的喊。Not all of us are born handyman. Born means talented. For example, some people are born teachers. Furniture gets rickety. Rickety means in bad condition or almost breaking down. It often used to describe furniture or a building. Their husbands will somehow put things right means will somehow manage to repair. Look at this example. How much does it cost to have the television put right? 请人来修电视需要多少钱？ The worst thing about the do-it-yourself game. Game here means a game-like activity. Look at more examples. I'm in the stocks and shares game. 我正在玩股票 because the activity is game-like. Some people think life's just a game. Here it means life is not serious. Men live under the delusion that they can do anything. Live under 在什么样的影响下生活？ For example, you can say under the belief or under the impression. She is under the mistaken belief that he will marry her. 她错误地以为他会娶她。It is a question of pride. Question here means a matter of pride. For example, I would love to join you, but it's a question of time. 我很想和你们一起去，但是时间不允许。It's a question of pride as much as anything else. When you use as much as, you're stressing the former. So it means it's more a question of pride than anything else. Look at more examples. She is as much a friend to me as a mother. 她是我的母亲，但是她更是我的朋友。In many cases, teaching is not so much a job as a way of life. Here you have a negative not, so it's actually emphasizing the latter. 很多情况下，教书不仅是一个工作，而且是一种生活方式。They are not so much friends as lovers. It actually means they are more lovers than friends. It had broken down the previous summer. Break down means stop working. Look at this example. My car broke down at the traffic lights. 在红绿灯处，我的车坏了。You can also use break down to describe a person, which means collapse. If you go on working like this, you'll break down sooner or later. 你早晚会崩溃的。I had never got round to it. Get round to something means you finally do something as planned, but delayed because you are too busy or too lazy. 它后边既可以加名词，也可以加 doing something. For example, having been back for a month, I haven't even got around to unpacking yet. 回来1个月了，我还没有时间拆行李呢。I would not hear of the suggestion. Would not hear of or will not hear of means refuse to accept something. For example, I offered to pay him for giving me a ride, but he won't hear of it. 他根本就不接受。As far as I could see, as far as 就我能看到的而言，也可以表达成 as far as I can tell or as far as I am concerned. For example, there has been no change as far as I can tell. It sounds like a great idea as far as I am concerned. It needed only a minor adjustment. A turn of screw here, a little tightening up there, a drop of oil. Notice a as an indefinite article here, referring to the unspecific action. 这里用了不定冠词 a， 是因为不确定 which action he would take. But I was extremely pleased with myself. Be pleased with oneself means be proud and satisfied with oneself. 洋洋自得的。For example, he was looking very pleased with himself. He must have finished his paper. 他看起来这么洋洋自得，他一定是把论文写完了。I was not surprised to find means as I had expected. For example, I'm not surprised that he broke his promise again, which indicates that I have really expected. For the simple reason that I was left with several curiously shaped bits. For the simple reason that means simply because that. I'll give you one more example. I went there for the simple reason that I had been told to. 我去了那儿，只是因为我被要求去那儿。Reason is also used in these expressions. For example, the exact location of the conference was kept secret for reasons of security. 出于安全的考虑。She sold the house and left the city for reasons best known to herself, which means nobody else understood why she sold the house and left the city. My wife nagged me to do something about it. Nag means to complain or criticize in a very annoying manner. For example, his mom is always nagging him to get his hair cut. Buried somewhere in deep grass. Buried here means covered somewhere in grass or hidden somewhere. Look at these examples to see what bury means in each context. He was buried in his hometown. 他被埋葬在家乡。I found the article buried in the business section of the newspaper. Here it means the article was very difficult to be found. After taking over the project, she buried herself in the work. Here it means she indulged in the work. 我们知道在英文中 so 经常用来强调程度 as 用来进行比较 Let's look at how these two words are used in this text. So great is our passion for doing things for ourselves that we are becoming increasingly less dependent on specialized labor. So here, so is put at the beginning of the sentence, and an inversion is necessary. Some really keen enthusiast go so far as to build their own computers. Go so far as to do something is a fixed expression to indicate that these people go to an extreme. And look at how as is used. As far as I could see, it needed only a minor adjustment. So here as is used to show limit. It would be as good as new. As good as new means it would be the same as new, 像新的一样. It's a fixed expression. It's a question of pride as much as anything else. It actually means it's more a question of pride than anything else. So this text tells us about how popular the idea of do-it-yourself is. This might have something to do with the Western tradition. People have admired those people who could do things by themselves, and those who are talented in different fields. This kind of people are called the Renaissance man in English, because during the Renaissance time, there appeared a lot of famous people who were good at different things. A good example would be Leonardo da Vinci, who is not only a famous artist, but has made a lot of accomplishments in science as well. 英文中把多才多艺的人称为 a Renaissance man, 因为在文艺复兴时期出现了很多多才多艺的人。Another important association is the American frontiersman, who had to be resourceful handyman in order to survive in the New World. 另外一个重要的传统呢，就是美国的拓荒者，为了在新大陆生存，必须成为能工巧匠。Maybe because of such traditions, the author himself wanted to become a handyman as well. But from his experience, we know that before we do things by ourselves, we also need to have a proper self-knowledge. A proper self-knowledge may include to know what we can do by ourselves and to know what we can't do by ourselves. All right, so much on this topic. Bye for now.